Hi, this is Bill Seaver with Micro Explosion Media. Today I am with Harris III, Master Illusionist, and in the past I have interviewed people about, I've done a series of interviews. Some of them are experts in social media helping to provide tips, tricks, things that might be helpful to you and me when it comes to social media. I have also interviewed people who have used social media well. They're seeing it drive business for them, and we just want to capture their stories. Today is actually a little different. Harris is in the midst of learning social media. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
In the midst of learning social media, how it works for him, how it works for his business, how it works for someone in the entertainment industry, which is frankly where everybody's trying to figure this out in some form or fashion today. Okay, so let's start off. Let's hear the hotel story. This is I actually use this. You don't know this. I use this as an example when I do some training.
It works. It works. It's what made it click for me. You know, as Bill and I first met and he started preaching this message to me, it's like I was getting it, but it was kind of one of those, okay, okay, I got to think about this kind of stuff. And then just purely on my own with no agenda of trying to build any sort of social networking platform at all. Just while we were on tour one day, we got put in a hotel and we checked in. It was 2 rooms for my wife and I and our crew. And we left for the day and came back that night after the show, and the hotel had given one of our 2 rooms that we had checked into to someone else. And so to make a long story short, I asked the manager, hey, our keys don't work. And they're like, oh, well, that someone else is in that room. And another lady at the hotel had given it to someone else, and there was no explanation for it. And it was one of those situations where you ask for the manager, she goes back to find the manager, she comes back and says, well, our manager's off the clock, so she's not available. Right. And we all know in the midst of that situation at 11 o'clock at night, you're tired, you just want a room, you're frustrated that someone else got your room. And so I was very nice and just asked them to solve the problem. And I was like, okay, well, can we get another room at another hotel? And they said, sure, we can call, but you'll have to pay for it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
So you had already paid.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
So to make a long story short, I go to the room and I thought, okay, this whole YouTube thing, let's see how this works. And so I just opened up my Mac and turned on my camera, and I think it was probably longer than it needed to be. It was 3-4 minutes, but I just unscripted, just kind of sat down and told the story of what had happened. And
were you at the hotel at that point, or had you?
I was sitting on the bed. Yeah.
Had you gone to another hotel?
No, we got to stay in that hotel because I wasn't going to pay for another room.
Right.
So we brought in 2 rollaway beds, and our whole crew and everybody.
So you had the one room that you did
yes.
still have. Wow. Okay.
So using their Wi-Fi, which I think is still kind of funny. So they provided all the services to make it possible. As I sat there on the bed, just opened up my laptop, I just told the story into my camera, and then iMovie made it easy to publish right to YouTube. And within a day, I went back and searched it. I tried to find my own video without going through my account, and I typed in, it was a Wyndham hotel, so I typed in Wyndham bad hotel experience or something like this. And I ended up trying all sorts of phrases, and no matter what phrase, and then I got rid of Wyndham, and it was just bad hotel experience, and it came up, it was coming up as the top video, and it was amazing. Started getting tons of reviews. But I think the reason you wanted me to tell the story, what was most interesting about it is literally within 48 hours, I got an email from the CEO of Wyndham Properties or Resorts, and 2 emails from 2 of the VPs of marketing within the company. And I was so amazed, the light bulb went off. I was like, okay, clearly this whole social media thing can be very powerful.
What I like about that is that there really is no little guy anymore. And so maybe as that translates over to the customer service world, or just being good in business. So if you have a bad show one night and somebody's like, that Harris III show was terrible, well then now they're not just going to tell their couple friends. They can tell that to 700 Facebook friends or whatever. So you have to then figure out, well, how do I respond to that?
And guys like me used to only have to care what critics said or what the newspaper said. And now every single person in my audience has a MySpace or Facebook profile or a blog, and they all have a voice, and so we have to care.
So I guess where are you now? Because you've been dabbling. Can I say that? You've been dabbling in this for a while, and I think you're a smart guy both in what you do, but even just in business in general. And you literally wrote a marketing book, 4 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
So you get that, but I know the world of marketing has changed some. That's some
Absolutely.
that's some of where we have our conversations. So I guess what is your thinking today? Because I can't help but think that somebody that's going to watch this video they're in this in between phase, kind of like you are. They're not brand new to the social media, but they don't feel like they've quite gotten it yet, or you feel like you have some understanding, but you're not seeing it perhaps do everything that you want it to.
Yeah.
So where's your thinking on this kind of thing?
I think at first it was like I have to try this, but I didn't have an understanding of how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's anyone out there that's just like I just don't get it, for me I realized it wasn't going to click until I tried it. And so I started Twittering, I started Facebooking, I started the YouTube thing, I started blogging on my website. And now, only from trying those things am I learning and just now beginning to scratch the surface of the potential for what I do. And so, like you said, for me, yesterday, just in one single blog post, that was our highest day of traffic since launching the new website over the past few months.
So what was different about that than the other things you had done?
I think that in the past, I had tried creating content that was about me, like, hey, come see our show tonight in this city, or hey, check out my new book, whatever. And I finally, instead of making a blog about me and what we're doing, I wrote about something that everyone else was interested in.
Yeah.
And yet I found a way to take what everyone else was interested in and tie it back into what I do, so it was still somewhat informative. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And after I created the content, I used all the other tools I could to drive people to the content.
Right.
And it was interesting to see where our sources of traffic were coming from, which from what I understand are different from other places of business.
Sure.
And so what might be true for someone else is different for me. Twitter might work amazingly well for someone else, but all of our traffic is coming from Facebook.
Well, you're going to get it. I already know you. I mean, you are. You're there. You just. And it takes time, and time is not a commodity that you have a lot of with traveling and all that, and touring. But
I think that's the key, though.
But it's how do you work this in?
Yeah.
To what you're already doing.
That's another misconception, is that I have to reserve time
Yeah.
to create content that is different than all the stuff that I have going on. But in reality, it's capturing everything that's already going on and just sharing it with other people.
Yeah. And in your case in particular, and I think probably anybody that's in an entertainment type of business, that plays out even better than, say, the CEO of this nonprofit.
Oh, sure.
But even then, I think there's something to be said for that. So be encouraged. You're well on your way. But it's worth. I love. It's smart people who are thinking about this are going to get it, and you're just a great example of that. You've seen it work for you, both from a just a personal taking care of a customer service issue perspective, and you're seeing it play out in small bits. And so it's just a matter of how just this. Just starting to turn the wheel and move forward.
And when we say when we say that I'm only scratching the surface, that doesn't mean that I haven't already seen amazing benefits from it. I mean, that we've had shows that have sold out in certain cities that wouldn't have sold out had someone not heard about the show through Twitter or Facebook. But it only takes that one person that's like, oh, I didn't know that you were going to be in, say, Cincinnati tonight. That one person now tells everybody they know, and it's only a result of me tweeting that the show's sold.
Right. So you're doing
working.
a lot of the right things. But I also know you're rarely salufied. so you wanted to see it go further, which is a great attribute. So it's going to work. And I hope this conversation will encourage somebody that's going to watch this.
Just jump in and try it. As you try it, things will start to click and you'll get it, and little light bulbs will go off. And it'll be a success.
Great. Well, listen, thank you for joining us today. How can somebody find out more about you? Get a little glimpse of the Harris III.
Obviously, it's easier just instead of pitching them all, just to go to one place.
Okay.
Here at harristhethird.com. It's just Harris, I,
right.
like the Roman numeral 3. harristhethird.com. And if you misspell it, I still own all the misspelled names.
Okay.
So you'll get there anyway. And from there, blog, Facebook, Twitter. It's all there.
Great. And again, Bill Seaver at microexplosion.com. And thanks for doing this. It was a great conversation.
I'm honored.
You bet. Thanks.